AVM Biotechnology is a private Seattle-based biotech company that has successfully invested $32 million US in developing their lead small molecule drug, AVM 0703, moving from its discovery to its current phase 2 human clinical trial. AVM has been acknowledged in both 2022 and 2023 by the US National Cancer Institute as a showcase company and further acknowledged in 2024 as an NIH innovation company. To date, AVM has received $4.4 million in grants from the institutions shown on this slide, a testament to the technology's relevance. Due to some outstanding results AVM is having with all types of cancers, their vision is to sell AVM 0703 as a first-line drug as part of the standard of care with any form of cancer, making follow-on therapies work better. With a focus to cancer therapy breakthroughs with checkpoint inhibitors and CAR T-cell therapies, over the last 23 years, all cancer deaths have only fallen 5% in the US. AVM 0703 is AVM's fully developed anti-cancer drug. It is cancer agnostic, has virtually no side effects, and is low cost. Their drug is saving lives, having been tested on 24 forms of cancer in late-stage terminal cancer patients under compassionate use, and as part of its phase 2 clinical trial on relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and lymphocytic leukemia patients. AVM 0703 targets a unique and novel immunomodulatory pathway, a pathway that works as a standalone, but works even better in combination with other existing anti-cancer therapies, making them work better, increasing overall patient survival. AVM 0703 is administered to patients as a simple 1-hour outpatient infusion at a concentration of 18 milligrams per kilogram of patient weight. The base molecule has a 65-year safety record since its FDA approval in 1958. Over 20 full doses of AVM 0703 have been given to a patient, which produce no cumulative toxicity and no long-term negative effects. AVM has reformulated and patented AVM 0703, forging a completely novel immunological response completely different than regular dexamethasone. In fact, adverse effects of regular dexamethasone are completely different than in AVM 0703, and the method of action is completely different and novel. Adverse effects of AVM 0703 are minor and temporary, only affecting approximately 1/4 of all patients. AVM 0703 is low cost, takes 4 weeks to manufacture, has a 2-year unrefrigerated shelf life, and only costs approximately $100 per infusion to manufacture. The drug is currently manufactured under license by a big pharma drug company. Repeated dosing of AVM 0703 can occur in 3-week intervals to gain a further deepening effect. The AVM 0703 method of action multiplies and mobilizes the body's own cells to fight cancer. The drug activates a natural killer T-like cell that combine with other immunity cells in our own immune system to destroy abnormal cancer cells naturally. These cells have been gated out of flow cytometry testing as a normal scientific protocol, and so are previously undiscovered, and thus called AVM NKT cells for the purposes of this presentation. AVM 0703 is the light switch that turns on your own immune system. About 20% of the population develop cancer because this immune system is genetically impaired, and so AVM NKT cells either don't build up in adequate number, or they don't optimally mobilize, or both. Here's what we know about AVM NKT cells. They are the main players in anti-cancer response. This cell homes to cancer sites primed to kill with 8 times the enzyme load of a normal NKT cell. AVM NKT cells are only present when abnormal cells proliferate in the body. AVM NKT cells are part of the body's existing immune system, which explains why there are only minor side effects from the use of AVM 0703. It also explains why it works on all cancers. AVM 0703 also reverses immune exhaustion markers, reconditions a patient's blood supplies, and resensitizes patients to other therapies that previously had no effect, making it fit as a primer to combination therapies for all cancers with all known standards of care. Let's look at the human population to get a better idea of how AVM 0703 boosts your immune system to combat cancer. In categorizing the population, this is what we find from both our phase 2 clinical trial and compassionate use patients. Referring to the first column on the slide, in 80% of the population, a cell mutates to abnormal, and AVM NKT cells are produced and deployed to kill the abnormal cells, so you don't get cancer. This is just your normal immune system working the way it should. The remaining 20% of the population get cancer because their AVM NKT cell immunity system is impaired and not functioning properly. In the second column on this slide, in 2% of the population, or roughly 10% of those that get cancer, cells mutate to abnormal. People produce AVM NKT cells, but don't optimally deploy them. Cancer results again. Add AVM 0703, and you get a near immediate anti-cancer response with AVM NKT cells already in the body in sufficient numbers, now mobilized to cancer cells, and kill them. These responses can seem like miracles, with extremely profound anti-cancer effects. In this category of the population, within minutes of infusion of AVM 0703, we have seen bright redness on the head of a patient with central nervous system cancer, with the drug working to kill cancer cells under the skull, and also watch cancer in the same patient that was growing out of the eye socket visibly recede. That patient was previously blind in the left eye and deaf in the left ear. After infusion with AVM 0703, sight and hearing was restored to normal within 48 hours of infusion, providing a truly miracle-like situation. In the third column on this slide, we see a more common pattern with 13% of the population, or approximately 65% of those with cancer, where people don't produce AVM NKT cells. So when the cells mutate to abnormal, cancer results. When you add AVM 0703, you get a delayed anti-cancer response as the AVM NKT armies need to be produced in sufficient number before they can be mobilized, a process taking 3 to 22 days depending on patient circumstances, or possibly requiring a second infusion to optimally create the anti-cancer effect. So in 75% of all cancer cases, AVM 0703 provides a really good anti-cancer response. In the final column, in the remaining 5% of the population, or 25% of those that get cancer, the AVM NKT cell system is compromised beyond the ability of AVM 0703 to cause a response. Again, remember that AVM 0703 has only been tested on late-stage terminal cancer patients, and as a result, it could be that if AVM 0703 is used on an earlier stage patient group, that positive anti-cancer effects may occur in this 25% of patients with cancer as well, when their immune system is presumably not fully damaged. Hodgkin's lymphoma is the 7th most prevalent cancer in the U.S. This slide lists the most relevant therapies for AVM's Phase 2 clinical trial on relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. This is the worldwide competition of the best therapies available today, mostly combination therapies providing more than one anti-cancer method, and it's graded primarily by whether a patient lives or dies, the most important benchmark for an anti-cancer drug. AVM is shown on the top two lines with the Kaplan-Meier 2-year standard 77% predicted survival as a combination therapy, higher than all known therapies for relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and lymphocytic leukemia. Remember, these are the results for a patient group with less than 3 months to live. So if you gave AVM 0703 to patients when they were first diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and gave it less cancer to attack and kill, it makes sense that this could be the first drug you take when you get any non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. These predicted survival rates for AVM 0703 are expected to continue to rise as median survival has not been reached. But point out AVM 0703's blockbuster potential as the best therapy for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and lymphocytic leukemia worldwide. As compared to the brentuximab-lenalidomide combination therapy on the third line, not only does AVM 0703 promote 80% higher survival than Seagen's brentuximab, it also has over 4 times less side effects and over 5 times lower estimated patient costs than brentuximab. AVM 0703 also works with central nervous system involvement, and in fact on all cancers, where brentuximab does not. Brentuximab is sold for an implied value of $13 billion US as part of the $43 billion all-cash sale of Seagen to Pfizer last year, but clearly is an inferior drug to AVM 0703 for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Compassionate use is where the health regulators allow patients with terminal or severely disabling medical conditions gain access to new developing treatments with either medications or devices. This is basically for relapsed and refractory, no treatment option patients with limited time to live. In addition to the company's clinical trial, AVM is leveraging single-person open-label clinical trials on any type of cancer. So far, 37 patients have been treated with a total of 150 plus total infusions on 24 types of cancers, all with minor side effects while providing profound anti-cancer responses. The results of compassionate use have been outstanding, and this data forms the basis for future off-label use of AVM-0703 for many other cancers where the drug creates a durable, long-term positive effect. Pictured here is just one example of infusion of AVM-0703 under compassionate use. This slide shows scans from a 21-year-old female patient that had a rare form of desmoplastic abdominal cancer. She had 5 prior chemo treatments that had no effect, so the patient had no standard of care options left when she came to AVM. The patient received a total of 6 treatments with AVM-0703, each creating a deepening response to the point of cancer destruction and stable disease. Note the scans from left to right showing the dramatic change in debulking of the enormous cancer tumors after just 2 treatment cycles. AVM has first mover advantages here and a significant patent portfolio with patent protection through 2040, with 22 patents granted and 55 patents pending in 8 patent families. Tweaks to the drug molecule are continually made and patented to extend patent life. In addition to patent protection, there are trade secrets on the manufacture of AVM-0703 that would take a competitor 4 years to research. It is worth noting that AVM has survived 2 patent challenges from Big Pharma, with both matters settled in the company's favor within 1 week. AVM plans to complete its phase 2 human trial by mid-2025 with a budget of $4 million US, and also apply in 2025 for Breakthrough Therapy designation or Project Fast Track with the FDA to allow a fast track to market. After expedited FDA review, the FDA is expected to grant AVM authority to sell to the relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma market in the U.S., expected during 2026 to 2027 under accelerated approval protocols. AVM expects to strategically partner with a large big pharma entity with international market reach to distribute and sell the drug, and expects to post first sales by the end of 2027. It is expected that big pharma partnering will provide market distribution and provide all further funding required to market and distribute the drug. AVM will require a confirmatory phase 3 trial, but will be allowed to sell to the U.S. market at the same time that this is in progress. The company is currently working on the definition of its first-line phase 3 trial in conjunction with the FDA. AVM needs $30 to $35 million in additional capital to get to the big pharma partnership stage. Assuming a 10 to 30% market share of the U.S. relapsed and refractory non-Hodgkin's lymphoma market, a market with only 109,000 new patients annually, inclusive of lymphocytic leukemia, the company would generate between 0.4 and 1.3 billion US in sales. But likely, if you have the best drug out there, and relapsed and refractory patients have no options left, market penetration will be much higher very quickly. When our CSO, Teresa Deischer, worked as a Stanford graduate student, under her management, her team followed data that indicated that beta blockers could help heart failure patients. The industry at that time indicated otherwise, and some of her contemporaries indicated that beta blockers would actually kill heart failure patients. Following the data, Teresa's team proved otherwise, and beta blockers became the gold standard for heart failure patients and captured more than 90% of the heart failure market in the US within 1 year. Applying those 90% market capture metrics, AVM sells $3.9 billion US after year 1. Expansion to other markets are shown here as to 10 to 30% market penetration, using a metric of 2 infusions per patient per year at $20,000 per infusion. It is obvious that the rest of the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma market in the US, that is 3 times larger than the relapsed and refractory market, will follow quickly in off-label use, with doctors prescribing AVM-0703
for patients that first get non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Additional planned market niches include the 6 major markets for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the UK, Spain, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan. Note that we have not included additional cancer usage for off-label use that will be occurring because the drug also has a durable response for many other sorts of cancers, where the drug has saved lives under compassionate use. Expected EBITDA is 60% of sales net to AVM, allowing for costs, including distributor partnering splits. The breakdown of $33 million US that AVM has spent in development funding is shown in the upper right of this slide. The company has approximately 36 million shares issued and outstanding. AVM has $4 million left of its 75-cent bridge equity offering at a pre-money valuation of $27 million US. This funding is to obtain milestones of completion of AVM's Phase 2 clinical trial and FDA acceptance into Project Fast Track or FDA Breakthrough Drug Designation. A secondary offering of $30 million in equity will be required but priced at market post-completion of bridge financing milestones. AVM-0703 is part of the growing immunotherapy treatments category that forms almost half of the cancer therapy market. Where monoclonal antibodies and checkpoint inhibitors are usable against 30 to 50% of all cancer types, AVM-0703 is relevant to 100% of all cancers. This fact, along with the drug's performance, safety, and low costs, propels AVM-0703 to the top of the immunotherapy anti-cancer therapy category and makes it a candidate as a primer for the standard of care for all cancers, making follow-on therapies more effective. An ex-Merck Pharmaceuticals C-suite executive, responsible for 23 pharmaceutical product introductions in his career, has consulted to AVM and calls AVM-0703 a game changer for cancer patients. And that's simply what it is. Not a poison, it is the light switch to a patient's cancer immunity. In addition to cancers, the drug has proven relevance to a number of other applications like diabetes, graft versus host disease, multiple sclerosis, and even flesh-eating disease in human patients. The truth is, we don't know all the markets to which the drug has application. In cancers, AVM-0703 is a category of immunotherapy itself, with the highest levels of financial potential. However, its real value to society is that it might finally help move the needle on cancer deaths. Moreover, in your lifetime, someone you know and love will need it.